Hi, I'm Caitlin Steele. My husband and I own CrossFit Hershey in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We opened the gym here in 2011 and have been operating since then. We do a ton of rowing here, and I got my rowing certification, my CrossFit rowing certification, in fall of 2013, and so it helped us dial in a little bit in terms of programming, but then also I started doing intro sessions that are an hour long, and it essentially just prepares people to get into classes and feel more confident on the ergs and knowing how to use them, and different ways of approaching them mentally, and things like that. But I also do a lot of just rowing to row, and so really teaching people how to use it as a fitness tool overall. And so that's been an exciting thing and a part of what I do here. So the rowing focus has definitely been more my thing. So I do have that experience in terms of Aaron Cafaro's training from the CrossFit rowing certification, but then that took me into that hour-long session, and then from there I started doing a rowing club, and so we met 3 times a week, and we just took a little break when I had a baby, but we're coming back. So that session, it goes anywhere from an interval training one day to a steady state row to a stroke ladder or anything else like that. And so we can do, usually it's really short, supplemental to their CrossFit programming, and it will end up being anywhere from 4 minutes to 12 minutes, give or take, and it takes little of their time, but it's so effective, and then I have eyes on them, can really help with just developing form overall. So they come to that intro session, and then they can come in and do rowing club throughout the week, just once a week, and it's a great tool. So that's where things have been. I can do the one-on-one stuff as well, and then people really feel confident in our gym using the machines effectively, and it's been a great thing. So you're going to see some samples from that, and I hope it's what you're looking for. Thanks a lot. Obviously, safety-wise, it's going to be that way, apart, down, together, things like that. To put them together, it's pretty simple. There's a little lip here. You can see that, and then it pulls in. Obviously, here at the gym, we have this done for you, so you don't really need to know. But it's pretty simple to just find the lip, click it in there, push that down, and in like that. Okay, so now we did obviously the assembly when we got it, but then the screw comes up and the handle comes down. When you're not using the machine, we always store this up here. There's bands in the machine, and the chain is there, and when it's under tension, it's going to be, wearing out. So store it up and then bring it down when you're ready to use it. So seat-wise, I always talk about sitting first. However, one thing in terms of safety, so sometimes we have clients that aren't very balanced. And so one of the things, obviously even just stepping over this, and especially Annie, when you're using, when you're training clients that have balance issues, they can easily walk from the back of the machine right up to their seat. And then, or even somebody with an injury or something that has single leg stability issues at the time can do that. So we're going to find a good spot for your feet, and generally speaking, we want your toes to be close to these screws. We want to have your whole foot grounded, and really the best place to figure out whether you're a 2 or a 3 or a 4, it's not necessarily based on shoe size as much as it is your mobility, so that when you're here in the front, in this position, which is called the catch, we want to have vertical shins. Okay, so if your feet are up really high, that's going to get a little dicey if you can't get your shins vertical. So you might have to move it down if you're less mobile. And they actually have these different extensions now that you can kind of get different pieces so that the machines can have broader foot pads, which is kind of cool. But anyway, so one little tip with the straps getting in and out easily. So you want to make sure they're nice and loose, pull them tight, and then when you're ready to, be finished and say you're going on to another movement next, or whether you're just done and want to walk away, if you push down on these straps and pull your toes towards you, it gives you plenty of slack here, and then you can easily get your feet out. Okay, so that's just a good little tip, especially in the CrossFit world. If you're getting off of this machine and starting burpees or something, and you want to get off quickly, that's the best way to go. Okay, so we're going to start nice and tight with those feet. Some people shouldn't be really tight, and I'll explain a little bit more of that later, but if you have a tendency to pull back really hard on those straps, I'll encourage you to maybe loosen your feet so that you can't do that, because it's good to control and be in control rather than getting crazy. So we'll talk about that later, right this second. But you can see in here how there's a standard list, a custom list, and the re-row tool would be if like you're with a partner and doing something back and forth. You could just hit re-row, or if our workout is row 1K, rest 6 minutes and do it again, then you could just hit re-row and it'll reset the computer right away to time your 1,000 meter row. New workout is where we can kind of customize things. So if you're going to do 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, you can set that up for intervals of time, and you can set that up and then it'll count down your rest time and everything, so it makes it nice and easy. And then if you hit your menu button again, twice actually, the more options button is down at the bottom. That's where we want to check that drag factor number. Additionally, that's where your memory is. So if you were to come in for an open gym, or if it is in your workout or whatever, and you wanted to click on that memory thing, it'll come up with a list of different workouts that have been done on this machine. So you can look back at what you did and actually bring up. So if you maybe find, these are all lately have been like 1,000 meter rows, but you can literally pull up, if you hit the magnifying glass, it'll show you how many meters you rode, the average 500 meter pace, and also the average stroke range. So you can kind of do some reflection and look back and think like, oh good, like I got better at this, or this is where I need to work because my pace was, not where I want it to be or whatever. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so we're going to do a quick workout. Any questions? So the one thing I want to make sure that is, in terms of the damper setting, anywhere from a 2 to a 5 is generally where we like to start. So if you think of yourself as a stronger person overall, you may be a little bit higher on that, like 4 to 5 range. If you're a little bit, lighter in terms of squat weight or just like overall conditioning, maybe start lower, and then as you feel, a little bit better about that or get better, you can lift that up a bit. The other thing is we're going to talk briefly about how to set that to a better degree, so a little bit more detailed. Okay, so if you click on your screen, if you hit your menu back button, and again, if you don't have the mobility to get up here all the way, feel free to unstrap a foot or two. You're going to hit more options, and then display drag factor at the top. Okay, so now as you row, that box, there's going to be a number in there. Okay, so I want you to just warm up and row for about a minute, and I'm just going to watch you, and then that's going to let me kind of know which of the technique things we need to address the most. And then also there's going to be a number that pops up in that box. And so what I want you to do is adjust it as you go, or I'll adjust it for you. Ladies, you're probably going to be looking somewhere between 105 to 115, 125. Men, more like 115 to 145, in that range. Okay, so let's try there. Go ahead and give it a whirl, and I'm just going to be watching you for a little bit. So rather than sitting like you are, like watching TV, right, good and comfy on your couch and like recline, or even just here, okay, but I'm still like on the back of my butt, I want to be up on my hamstrings. So you're going to like inch your way up so that you're literally feeling like you're almost sitting on your legs instead of like back on your butt. Now what that's going to do is it's going to put you in an optimal position for posture. Okay, so your chest up, nice and tall, and that's going to put you in a great position to start. Now, we're going to start talking in a bit about your torso here and reach. Look at my back does, right? We want to stay nice and up tall, and here, okay? Now, we're going to start from the back of the stroke and work our way clockwise. This is up to you, don't kill it. We talk about external rotation of that grip, so you don't have to be obsessive with getting your wrists up, but we want to see those elbow pits towards the ceiling, okay? So that's external rotation, even when you're rowing. We talk about it all the time, head and other positions, push-ups, things like that. So very similar. We're going to start in the back, okay? So this is where you're finishing your stroke, okay? Those legs are open and extended. Those hands are here and relaxed. Those arms are going to be kind of at the side, definitely not chicken wing, okay? Just under that breastbone, we're going to stay nice and comfortable here. The biggest thing about the hands, okay? The biggest part of the stroke is that your hands are going to release first and quickly. Okay, so when you finish here, as soon as you get to that finished position, your hands, you can see my torso has tilted back a little bit. We spend a lot of time, especially in classes, talking about that hollow position. Okay, we've done those hollow holds, some of you hollow rocks. Okay, so getting in that position where you feel your core engage a tad, we're not going to like overly lay back. Okay, it's not like an excessive thing. The tilt of the torso is going to be somewhere between, like, say, 11 and 1 o'clock is a nice healthy range. So that's the visual I want to give you. Okay, so you're kind of going from here to here. Not getting down to 2:30, right, or 3 o'clock. They're not going to go like way down with that chest or way back. That's not necessary either. Okay. So when we're here, this is our finish. Then we're going to talk about the recovery. Most important part of all of this, because it's going to be how you can set your stroke rate and keep it there. Okay, this is how you stay consistent, is your recovery. So from here, release, torso, then bend the legs. Okay, so it's always hands, torso, legs. Hands, torso, legs. Okay, we'll do that slowly in a minute. But if you watch hands away, torso tilts, and then the legs bend. It's almost like you're just relaxing those legs in. Okay, it's not a hurry pull in. I want you to think of it almost like a triangle shape, or for many of us, thinking of a clean helps. Okay, so if you are here, your heels can come up a tad. All right, but we definitely don't want your seat to hit your heels, or even get close, which I think is a major challenge for people with good hip mobility. For the first time this week, I had somebody in that has limited hip mobility, and I said to her, I was like, actually, this is a really good thing for you when you're on the machine, because when you're rowing, you don't want to be in here, okay? You don't want to get the seat into your heels. The drive is the actual movement where you're pushing off the heels and pulling back. So your heels come off, we're going to drive those heels down, and then you're going to be pulling just below the chest. So ladies, think about where your sports bra is. Gentlemen, where your sports bra would be. Okay? So when you pull back, you're going to pull just below the chest. Now that, a lot of times people don't like that because it limits their length of the stroke. A lot of times people want to pull like here because they feel like they get those extra, like 3 or 4 inches, but that causes that chicken wing, right? If you look at my hands, shoulders, and seat, that triangle shape, okay? I'm going to try to keep that motion then as I drive back. I'm going to keep that shape, and then my torso opens, okay? So as you drive, we want to avoid this, we want to avoid this, right? We don't want to throw the shoulders first. Okay, so as you begin that drive, you're going to keep that same shape, solid and tight, okay? Pushing those heels down and driving off those feet, and then you're full straight. Okay, so by releasing those hands first, and then releasing the legs, bending the legs to come back in on that recovery, you're going to be able to control your pace a bit. Does that make sense? You see how fluid it can become in that release? So I'm not bending my legs until my hands have passed my knees. So many of you, that's going to be the biggest point of this. Also, some people will start to row a bit with their arms bent and try to row. Okay?
We're not rowing with our arms. Okay? The arms are almost as if it's a follow through at the end of the stroke. Okay? So I want those arms to be straight and relaxed. Should be nice and comfortable. Smooth motion all the way through. Okay? Now we want that, we don't want the hip to open too soon in terms of the torso. This angle, okay? So we're opening that and then sending those shoulders back. Okay? So we're just rowing with hands open. Okay? Keeping that chain nice and straight. Your chest should be tilted back just a tad. Good. And then once you're here, release quick. Good. Now we're going to add the torso. So we're going to go hands and torso, which is going like this. So now you're adding a little bit more power, right? Good. Now can we just pause for a second? What I'd really like to see through all of this next section here, where we're doing these drills, if you can, imagine you have one broomstick through each of, like through your whole line, okay, through your row. So I want you to be at the same pace as everyone else. So you're all going to be at the same stroke rate. It would be helpful if you just all follow me, but then Brian and Doreen and Angelique are going to be setting the pace, okay, for your row. Angelique seems scared of that, so how about maybe Doreen will do it? So let's just go back to the hands away. So you're going to be following me, and then stay together, okay? All right, now let's add that torso. Okay, remember you're sitting up, you're tilting that torso, staying nice and strong. Good. Feel that tension in your low back a little bit. Your hips are doing a little work here. Good. Very nice. All right, now the next one we're going to add is just going to be a quarter slide. You're going to watch me do it first. You'll do it next. I'm just breaking it tap. Okay? Now, if you hit that into the stroke, ready? And this one. Bend those legs a little bit. say in 2 strokes, do this, okay? So you're not going to do it right away, but then I'll say, okay, 2 strokes, 1 stroke, and then you're going to pause at a different spot of the stroke. Okay, so we did hands away, right? So hands away would be here, and you're going to stop. If I say arms and body, it would be here and stop. Okay? Or if I say quarter slide, you're going to let those knees slightly bend and stop there. Okay? So it'll just be pausing at different spots. When I say row, you're going to continue to go through the rest of your stroke. Cover in and stroke back out. Okay? So we're going to get into a slower pace than we were before, probably low 20s somewhere. Some people are rejoicing. So in the idea that we want to talk about before that, a little bit about stroke rate. I did mention how that recovery is going to allow you to control your stroke rate, because really your drive back should always be explosive and powerful, okay? So when you're doing that, what allows you to maintain a lower stroke rate per minute is how slow then you come in. Now there's a dangerous line to play with there, because we don't ever want to stop. Okay, so some people will row and will end up going so fast explosively out, but then they kind of stop here and then like lazily come in, right? And explode and stop and come in, or they drop their hands down. But remember, we want to keep that chain nice and straight. So we always want that to be steady and consistent. And the chain, because it coils inside the machine here, we always want to keep that movement going. So the flywheel, as long as things are moving and the air moves well and consistently, you're going to be able to control that stroke rate. A good example of this, most of you know when you first get on the machine how hard that first pull is, right? It's usually annoying. Well, back, we're going to be slower on the recovery. All stroke. One stroke this time. Hands to shoulders. Yay! Good. Rest. Great job. How do you feel? Good. If you are rowing at 32 strokes a minute, or 34, that's how many squats and how many strokes you're doing every minute. So if you're doing a 500-meter row at 32 strokes a minute, that's 64 times that you're going through that motion. If you can produce the same speed or same like 500 pace or same amount of power with every stroke and do 27 strokes, why not do that, right? Save your legs a little bit. People that are stronger in the hips and legs will probably be able to have a decent damper setting, maintain a more powerful stroke, and go slower than someone that might be more of an endurance athlete that might not have the same amount of power. They might need to go with a higher stroke rate.